Bonjour everyone, welcome to another episode, another little diecast showcase for you. I'm going to do what I'm going to call a part 2 of my Hot Wheels Premium showcases. In this case, I'm going to be showcasing, instead of JDM cars like the previous episode, some European motorsport legends. Again, these are going to be from a couple different series, and yeah, basically all cars that have a motorsport heritage, or that are in motorsport livery, basically, which in the last 5 years, I'd say there's been quite a nice variety of, a really good variety of new castings. So without further ado, we will get that started right away. So first one I'm going to show you, this is probably, I believe, the oldest one out of all the ones, if we're talking about the release or license date, is going to be this one here. So what they call a 60s Fiat 500D Multifucato. So this is obviously in Gulf livery and is out of the car culture series, the Gulf car culture series. So I did show off the Nissan Laurel that's part of this series that we can see right up here. And this is the other representative of the series that I actually have. As mentioned in the previous video, the GTI I'm not a big fan of in this livery. I don't find it's super appealing, at least to me. McLaren F1 GTR is a great cast, but I have quite a few McLaren F1 castings, and I didn't feel this one was necessarily a must-have addition, especially for the price. And Mustang Boss 302 is always a winner, but I already had the Team Transport with the dark blue Mustang, basically, so I decided against getting this variation. All in all, I really like this casting. First and foremost, it's tiny. However, it is surprisingly kind of big to be a 1/64 scale. It's definitely not true 1/64, but the touches are great. The bumper deletes, the tampo work is extremely nice on the front and on the rear. The Gulf livery, although I find it's a little bit, that stripe is a little bit too modern looking on the side, is still restrained enough that it does respect to a certain extent what we would have seen in period. My favorite part of this casting is definitely the exposed engine on the rear, with the open rear engine cover, which was something that was regularly done on these race spec 500s to aid cooling to the engine, basically. You'd see the same thing on classic Beetles as well. Again, we've got the orange 4-spokes, which is always a good choice of wheels on these smaller diameter wheel-equipped castings. And all in all, I think it's my only classic Fiat 500 casting, so it's a really good one. I definitely like it. Glad to have it in the collection. All right, next up, we're gonna stay in Italy, and we're probably gonna proceed the by nationality of the actual manufacturers of the cars these castings are designed after. So next one to me is extremely special, at least, and is definitely a casting that I was extremely surprised Hot Wheels actually decided to make. And I think it's probably the one that's farthest from an actual race car. This would be number 19 out of the Boulevard series, or at least when they started their number system for the Boulevard series, as before that it was just series of 5, but in this case it's number 19, the Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale. Stradale in Italian means street, so it's a street version of a race car. These had small V8s that were used in Alfa Romeo's race cars. mid-engined. You've got the cool Panasport slash Watanabe looking 8 spokes. Very nice, in the classic red that these cars would have been most commonly seen in. This again would have been a homologation special, and it's got a lot of motorsport credentials, so I decided to include it in this showcase despite it not having a race livery or anything like that, and despite it being a street version. It is still a street version of a race vehicle, so I find it kind of fits. But I mean, this thing is beautiful, a beautiful car. I love the profile. It's got a little bit of Mura in it, I find, especially you know, the cabin and the rear roof line. A lot of strategically placed cooling vents. Really nice rear. A little bit reminiscent of maybe the GT40, you know, but on a smaller scale. It's definitely a smaller vehicle than the GT40. It's got its license plate on there. Shows the 1969 number. It's kind of small, so it's not really visible in the current light I'm subject to. So, but yeah, look at that. You got the top part of just like the GT40 again, the top part of the doors that extend onto the roof and that are glass. So that opens to ease access to the cockpit. And yeah, to me, it's certainly in the top 25 most beautiful Italian cars produced in all time. Yeah, I really enjoy looking at this. But yeah, Boulevard Series. Again, cars in there. I've already shown this on the previous video, so. And I do believe I showed at least the Sprinter Torino, I'm sure, and the Skyline C210, I'm pretty sure as well. I did have the cool combi, which I traded away, and the twin mill is not a casting that really speaks to me, despite all its history and everything. I do respect people that collect it, but it's just not my thing. So, let's see, next up, staying in the Italian cars, and also staying in the Boulevard series, we have a casting again that I was... Actually, casting I'm not super surprised, because the regular version of this car has already been cast by Hot Wheels quite a few times, but this specific version, I was quite surprised. That would be the Lancia Stratos Group 5. So, kind of like touring car races in the 70s and 80s. Group 5 designation was basically what basically entails that the car is going to be wide-bodied and is going to be turbocharged, and these on average we're pushing anywhere between 400 and 500 horsepower depending on trim. So extremely fast cars, because we're talking about a car that weighs under 1,000 kilograms, well under 1,000 kilograms, and yeah, converted, that'd be under, you know, I'd say maybe slightly above 2,000 pounds if we convert. So definitely a light car, powerful car for the weight. So power to weight ratio is dimensional, and as you can see, especially from the top, this thing is wide, and so many aerodynamic appendixes on this car. You got a bunch of cooling vents on the front, cool Italian colored livery. Normally this would have been an Alitalia livery, an Italian airline company, but yeah, I don't think that they paid for the copyright for that, so they went with a Lancia theme anyway, so it's fine. Again, you've got the 4 spokes on here, this time staggered with a very small diameter in the front and a larger diameter in the rear. I mean, I have a hard time faulting this casting, honestly. I mean, the only thing that I think I could fault about it, if anything at all, lack of side view mirrors, which, you know, at this point, it's kind of useless talking about it, because Hot Wheels are Hot Wheels, Matchbox are Matchbox, you know. These are not, you know, $25 cars. We're talking about, well, you guys in the US probably pay $5, $6 per car, $5 probably at Walmart. And in Canada, we pay about $7, which is pretty much equivalent. But yeah, this is really part of, to me, this is these silhouette cars from the 70s and 80s are really something that I've always loved since I was a kid. You know, the BMW, the first generation 3 Series, the Capris, like the Zaxpeed Capris. You know, these cars are legendary, right? These are super powerful, super fast, super dangerous. I mean, yeah, really aggressively styled. I mean, this would fit right in, right? They did do a silhouette series, and this would fit right in, you know. So, yep, definitely a very, 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 very cool car. So, one that I was extremely happy that was released, and even more happy to find on the pegs. These are all peg finds, by the way. All the cars you're going to be looking at today. So, next up, and this is going to be the last Italian car that I'm actually going to show. Again, very happy that Mattel and Hot Wheels decided to for into really classic race machines. We have the Group B spec, or so it seems, Lancia 037. Now, the race version of this car, which seems to be depicted here, because this is definitely not the Stradale version, as the Alfa you saw earlier was. This is actually looking really race spec. This is actually a car that had a lot of cool features. So it was a Group B car. It was developed for rally. It's much tarmac as off-road. A mid-engine car, and it had a four-cylinder that was actually supercharged as opposed to being turbocharged. And if you've ever listened to some video, if you have not actually listened to some videos on YouTube depicting this car in action and being driven as it would have been driven when it was not a racing legend but a current race car, it is completely insane sounding, and I strongly suggest you look it up if you have never heard one of these cars run. It is worth the eargasm, trust me. So yeah, back to this car. So Lancia Racing livery. Obviously no Martini Racing on this one, despite the pretty obvious color scheme depicting the Martini livery. Lancia logos all over. We got some Pirelli, some Bilstein, some Brembo, you know, a lot of sponsors that are definitely not out of place on this car. Only thing that I don't like about this casting, to be quite honest, is the choice of wheels. I like the wheels themselves, but the lip of the wheels with a beadlock looking pattern doesn't really fit. Just doesn't really fit with the car itself. These are not the kind of wheels that would have been on the car in period. So yeah, I mean, it's a great casting of an awesome race legend, but it's just not the appropriate wheels. But the details, I've got nothing to say. The front end looks amazing, simply amazing. Rear end as well, as I've just shown before, it looks pretty darn amazing too. Details are all there. Yeah, and yeah, this would be part of the was it hill climber series, I believe this is called. Thrill climbers, my apologies. You know what, I'll show you this the back here, but you'll be seeing more of these anyways, because this series, honestly, I have 4 out of 5. I did not pick up the IDR. I know the VW IDR is a real Pikes Peak competition car, but it just doesn't really speak to me aesthetically. So the other 4, however, we're definitely going to be checking those out. So, and why don't we go ahead and check those out right away? Ford RS200. Now this is a car that I've always loved ever since it was released. I remember seeing this in European magazines when I was a kid. Look, it's got everything. This one mimics the original race livery when this started. its competition, Group B competition. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, it's career, basically. Yeah, I guess so. Competition career. I mean, I love the styling. I love the kind of bug eye front with the circular fog lights that go to complement the circular front lights. You've got all the badging. Very nice tampo work. All the vents are present. Got those big vents on the roof there, just before the back glass. Since this is a mid-engine car, 1.8 liter turbo, stock form, street spec, you'd be looking at what, about 230 horsepower maybe. Competition trim, these have been brought up to 650 horsepower, and when the elusive Group S was announced, which kind of died in the egg, they were talking about putting out a version of this car that was even more push aerodynamically and was pushing out between 8 and 900 horsepower. And mind you, again, this car probably weighs something like 2,300 pounds, maybe 1,000 kilos. Just over 1,000 kilos. I mean, it's completely insane to think of what this car would be like with 8 and like, you know, more power than a Hellcat Demon. It's, I mean, this is, we're talking about horsepower of a red eye, literally. It's completely bonkers just thinking about, because a red eye probably weighs twice as much as this, if not more. Yeah, it's one of those cars that the style that, you know, it's Ford UK. You know, it's I mean, all the Cosworths and things like that followed afterwards, I mean, they're also cars that to me are legendary. So yeah, this one is a keeper. One of my favorite race cars of all time. I have many, but this is one of them for sure. Even if I'd have a hard time placing it in even I guess it'd be part of my top 50 or something, and it wouldn't be number 50. So I'll leave it at that. Now what we're gonna do is switch nationalities, and we're gonna hit up some German cars. Now what I'm gonna do, since we talked about the thrill climbers, I'm just gonna show you the other two that I have in this series, because both of them are really very nice. You got this nice Porsche 934.5. So basically, what is a Porsche 934.5? Well, pretty straightforward. It's a Porsche 930 turbo. And the rear end of it is basically the Moby Dick 935. So you got half a 930 and half a 935, and they decided to name it the 934.5. So, yeah, this thing is awesome. I love the livery. Very retro. The aero discs work very well on this car. This is the type of car that, you know, these wheels are not out of place in one bit. You got a number 77 on the hood, which I could assume maybe is a model year, although it's not indicated on the card itself. Looks great in white. You know, and not too many sponsors on it, which kind of almost looks like a test version. And by the way, card art on these things almost looks like, you know, if these were photos, you know, this is kind of photos like Larry Chen would make or something like that, you know. They're, to me at least, they look almost that quality, that much, that good. Definitely a really nice card artwork. Again, this is the only version of this casting I have, and I'm definitely open to picking up other ones. You know, I know there's a black version, a white version, a blue version. All three of those I'd be down to add to my Porsche collection. I'm a big Porsche fan, so, you know, I'd take Porsche over Ferrari or Lamborghini for the most part, any day of the week. So, awesome car. Really like it. You know, air-cooled flat six. In these kind of race trims, pushing out over 500 horsepower. So, that's before you get into the 917s and whatnot. Those were pushing over 1,000. So, these engines have a lot of potential. Next up, kind of like going down a rung in the Volkswagen Auto Group hierarchy, but definitely still a very, very legendary race car. Audi Sport Quattro. Actually, it should be normally Audi Quattro Sport. Hot Wheels has called this casting ever since the first release the Sport Quattro, but it should be the Quattro Sport. I do have all variations of this casting, except for the twin pack that came out, or if it is even out. I'm not even sure if it's out yet because I haven't seen too many people post it up on Instagram or anything like that. But yeah, I have the red version, the mainline version on a short card, and I have the green loose, the green with the race livery loose, as well as the white race version carded on a long card. And this one with the livery that's very, very reminiscent of the real livery that these cars raced in period. It's almost like a mix of the, Audi Sport livery. If you look at the top part of it, and on the side of it, with the yellow and the white, I find it almost looks like the livery that was on Michel Mouton's race car in the very early 80s when this model was just released, when the Audi Your Quattro was just released. So kind of cool that they blended two legendary liveries together on one legendary cast, representing both really well. Again, card art, look at that thing, so nice, so very nice. This was definitely one of the best series that came out last year, in my humble opinion. Despite me not picking up the IDR, normally I reserve one of the best series type of comment to a series that I could not resist picking up all of. But yeah, another series from last year that was really good, and I have a few representatives of, would be the first Deutschland design. And this is definitely something that's very motorsport. Now, I've seen the real version of this Porsche 959 Rally Raid car at the Porsche Museum in the Rothmans livery. This seems to be maybe a presentation or test model. And, I mean, love the car. I mean, it's really, really nice. With the two additional stoplights on the roof and all that good stuff. Excuse the dog barking in the background there. Apologies. Not my dog, so I can't really do anything about it. Yeah, so you got the hood pins and you got the Porsche logo. You got all kinds of little tiny details on here, the vents and all that. Just little tiny touches that you wouldn't necessarily notice, Really cool fact that this has the rear view mirrors, as did the Audi before. Hot Wheels is up in their game on this kind of thing. I do find that the 6 spokes are more or less appropriate for this kind of thing. But you know what? They're black, white car, so it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I won't complain about it. What I will complain about, though, is the stance of the car depicted on the card art. Honestly, it's way off. The one on the card art seems to depict the 959, almost like the lines of the prototype that came out before the final product was actually, introduced to paying customers. I don't know. There's something off about it. But either way, you know what? What's important is what's inside that bubble there. Card art is a little bit secondary. But yeah, this is a really cool car. Very, very cool car. So I'm really happy that Hot Wheels decided to do this version of it. And I'm even more happy that they decided to do this specific one. Now, why am I super happy they decided to do this one is simply because of the fact that the livery on here is the real livery of this Mercedes-Benz 300 SEL 6.8 AMG that actually did race many an endurance race. And I love the fact that AMG decided to go with the who cares about weight, just add more power type of mentality instead of going the Lotus route of light is right and claiming that a car that finishes a race in one piece is not light enough. They just, you know what, might not corner as well, half as well as other cars, but as soon as they hit a straight, they would be gone. I also like the fact that they chose these 5 spokes. Don't really like how they're depicted on the card art, but on the car itself, again, these wheels basically, they kind of look like the old school AMG rims. They kind of do, although the AMG rims normally didn't have that much lip. But I mean, darn. Love the shade of red as well. Mind you, it's not, the shade of red's not that accurate because the actual red that's on this car is not as metallic and not as burgundy or dark or wine red. But yeah, really cool. I like the front end with all the additional lights and the chrome metal base that actually lends itself to front end. It's kind of hard to see there, but again, the light is really declining right now. Sun's going down, so not perfect, but we'll try and finish this quickly. Either way, I don't have a lot more to show you. So basically, another older one, basically, that this I think would have been one of my first car culture pickups. I've been picking up boulevards for a while, but car culture, I think this would be the first one that I actually picked up. From the Open Track series, the Momo 190E 2.5 16 valve. Kind of funny because they made an error on the card. It's written 2.5-1.6. It's not 2.5-1.6. It's 2.55, which is, the number of liters of the engine, and 16 for 16 valve. And specifically, this is an Evo 2. This is in race trim, definitely. The Evo 1 did not have a spoiler that was that big. Kind of a smaller one. Slightly less power to the engine than the Evo 2, but and the wheels were also different. This one in Momo livery I find really, really awesome. I was kind of surprised to find this in a Toys R Us when it was released, when it was on the pegs, maybe 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. But yeah, really, really nice car. Definitely something that I enjoy. This one is a little bit tarnished because of UV damage, unfortunately, because it's been on display forever since I've gotten it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because, again, the important thing is what's inside that bubble, first and foremost. And to kind of continue on that theme and stay in the Hot Wheels Premium, and also stay in the European Motorsport Legend realm, decided to pull out this one. Team Transport number 6, which is the Porsche 962 and the Fleet Flyer in Momo livery. I mean, how cool of a set does this make, right? Tell you that. Really cool. They go so well together, you know. Really, really cool. So again, this Team Transport was one I was extremely happy to find directly on the shelves. I won't say on the pegs because honestly, they don't really put these on pegs for the most part. Some stores do, but most of them kind of shelve them because they end up being they end up cracking pretty easily if they fall off. And you know, we all know how big box stores, big box store diecast aisles can get hectic if we're talking about staying clean. I know a lot of us, including myself, have the habit of cleaning up after others in addition to cleaning up after ourselves after we go hunting. But some people are not necessarily as well behaved as others. So here's your Porsche we can take a glance of. Definitely I won't be opening this today, and I don't know if I will be opening it at all until I'm set up to be able to protect these accurately from the dust. And there's your Fleet Flyer. Really cool set. They look great. You know, the Fleet Flyer I find is a really cool fantasy truck. I find it's realistic enough that you can actually use it as a prop in dioramas, and it's not out of place in the middle of you know, actual licensed vehicles. And there's your Porsche. I mean, I won't show you too much because packaging is a little bit, it's starting to get a little bit you know, permanently dusty. Last one I'm going to show you is another Team Transport, and this is probably my favorite Team Transport I own, and it's this baby right here. So this is Team Transport number 33 with another Ford RS200. I told you guys I love this casting. And the Ford Rally Van, or the Rally Van actually. It's not a Ford necessarily, and it is not an actual licensed van, but darn does it ever look good. So yeah, basically we've got a cool set I always love, you know, tow vehicle trailer with a trailer queen. It's a concept that I love. These two vehicles are really well done. Love the fact that the van, the trailer, as well as the car all have the 8 spokes. And, you know, livery's pretty nice too. So, was really happy to find this set in a Walmart. Lucky find. First and last time I see it on the pegs. And this set ain't going nowhere either. So on that, I will let you go. I hope you enjoyed this little, you know, legendary motorsport vehicles of yesteryear showcase. If you did, don't hesitate to hit that thumbs up. Of course, subscribe if you want to be notified of future uploads on my behalf. And feel free to comment your feedback in the comment section. So I will leave you at that. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day or evening. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.